cat found her way inside. Hey, it's warm in here. You like it, don't you? Yeah. It is warm in here. Alright, finally drink this. It's not 9 million degrees anymore, maybe. Nope, it's still hot. That is definitely hot. It's funny how you say something's hot and then you drink more of it, like it's gonna get better. That's still hot. So anyways, I wanted to talk really briefly about this Canway Gasifier stove. So here's what I know about it. Here's my experience so far. This is a really common stove. You see a lot of great reviews on it on Amazon, on eBay. Saw it on the trail when I was hiking a while ago. Lots of people have it because it's super cheap, it's super affordable, and it does the trick. It does what it's supposed to do. You know, half the time the battle with stuff on my channel and the topics I have, the content and the materials, things that I review, it's frustrating because a claim is made and then it doesn't work that way. That's why I get mad and then I chill out, but I give a review just honestly telling people it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. You know, and sometimes companies don't like that. But here is definitely something made overseas. Ooh, that's still hot. Very hot. Definitely made overseas. It's a copy and a ripoff of the Solo stove. But this one isn't going to rob your wallet. This is like a $14 stove, guys. Maybe 20 bucks. Maybe 20 bucks if you decide to get that particular model. There's some small, minute differences between models. They do seem to come up with updated models. They maybe are even listening to customers, which is amazing. You can't get American companies to listen to customers. But these overseas companies, they want to make money. And apparently they know what they're doing because this stove, it rocks. It's awesome. So I got my little Stanley mug here, and I just made hot chocolate today. I'm just honestly sitting out in my yard. It snowed this morning. It was in the 20s, which is crazy because it was almost 80 the other day. I was in shorts in the last video I made. So it was really, really hot, and now it's pretty cold out. And for October anyways, so 20 degrees, decided to get this out, hang out in the snow. You can tell on the inside here, it's melted all the snow. It's actually just wet in here now because this little stove heated this thing really, really quickly. And before you get too freaked out, I was extremely careful. I made sure the outside of my one Tigress tent here was actually wet. And so I don't have a high concern about, you know, a flame. I wouldn't do it on a summer day. I probably wouldn't even do it on a normal fall day. It's just the fact that it was wet. I felt okay to try this out. And so I have the breather opened up here. See this? I have the breather opened. I do have some ideas. I'm gonna get a wood stove, but it's gonna have to be a really tiny wood stove because this thing heats up so fast. That little flame and 5 pieces of wood brought the temperature from the 20s up to probably 70s. I was uncomfortable wearing a sweater. That's how hot it was in here very quickly. It's not even buttoned down in the back. It's opened up so air can get in, which is, I don't know, it's crazy. This thing really did a good job. It gets extremely hot. So let's get to the pros and the cons that I noticed real briefly. When I was cooking this on the Stanley mug, you can see where I wiped away the ash because when you put this on the little screen, okay, let's get this on there. It's still really hot. When you put this on there, all the smoke, you know, it's being combusted. It's turning into flame, which is great, but it's right at the base of your pot, so it climbs up the pot. The heat has to go up, so it climbs up and it gets very sooty. And so my stainless steel cookware turns black pretty quick. Give you black lips too after drinking out of it. Drink break. Anyways, I just noticed that, you know, this is a pretty small grate. The top of this is pretty small. The opening is pretty small, and that works to keep and funnel the heat in one direction. It does what it's supposed to do. It just happens to put a lot of soot on things, and I'm using very dry wood. In fact, I'm using cherry, which I love cherry so much. I love carving it. I just had these bits and pieces, and this is the biggest I would put in there. In fact, the way that this works, it actually works better with bigger blocks of wood. So this, on the design, you can kind of see, maybe I'll put some footage in here. Air gets sucked in through the bottom, or it comes in through the bottom. There's a grate that sits about 1 inch higher on the inside where your wood sits on top of, and you don't want to stack it full of wood, just a few pieces of wood and some kindling. And it's allowed to breathe, and it gets air, it oxygenates from all the directions. That's why it's extremely effective, is it breathes really well. On top of that, you have a second half that's sitting on top of that ported piece. That's a double wall. And so to simplify it down, what that does is it helps the smoke turn into flame. It gasifies it, it turns it into flame. And so you actually have a hotter and hotter fire with just little pieces of wood. And I mean hot. It is extremely hot. I don't know how many hundreds of degrees that was. I would actually like to get a heat gun and test it because it was extremely hot. It boiled this water, it's probably a minute, and I was using little tiny pieces of wood. It is so quick and direct, and the gasifying process does make it really, really hot. And so for some things that's great, some things that's not so great. If you're cooking meat on top of here, this little screen or the slotted piece here, stainless steel cook grill, that's sitting right on top of the peak. And so if you're trying to cook meat, you're going to have to let this thing cool down and burn down to just little coals and try to cook on top of that. Maybe just throw little pieces of wood sometimes in there because it gets so hot so quickly, guys. There's nowhere for the heat to go. It can't expand out. It can't go down really. It's going to go up. And so if you're going to cook meat on here like a single hamburger or something like that, yeah, it's probably going to char it if you have any wood in there. You're going to have to wait for coals to go. If you have aluminum and not stainless steel, my concern is that it will eventually scorch it or burn it out, especially if you don't have something in there. You don't have enough something in there, it's going to destroy that aluminum, my guess is, because of how hot it gets. This unit itself turned blue. You can kind of see the sheen right now. It turned blue because it gets so hot. And that's just the permanent color. Also, I would make sure that you do a burn off when you get anything from any other country or America. Do a burn off, get the chemicals off, the packing grease, all that kind of stuff, and don't breathe that in. That's the first thing I did when I did have this, is I just burned it outside, got it reasonably warm the first time. The second time I got it pretty hot, and let everything cook off of it. I didn't want to be breathing that in or cooking it into things at all. And so now I feel relatively safe because I've literally blued the steel, got it so hot. I'm not sure if that's annealed or if that's just a chemical process. But moving on, it does cook stuff really fast. You could put bigger pots and pans on here because there are 3 points with teeth, which that little grill sits in. And on top of that, you could put another bigger pan. The thing is, it's only going to cook really hot in one spot if you're using stainless steel. If you were using cast iron, even a small cast iron, like a 6-inch, 8-inch cast iron, it definitely could take the weight. It could sit on there. It seems very stable to me. It's not very high off the ground, and it's a wide enough base. But the cast iron would at least cook evenly. That would be my guess. And so this is something I'm quite fond of. I have no complaints about it. I can't think of any way that I would even change it. Obviously, it heated up this little tent. Let's see, I'm gonna think about how many degrees it actually was. So if it was in the 20s, and it probably heated up the 70s, you know, an easy 50 degrees in a few minutes. That's really fast. That's really hot. That's how effective this little thing is. And I'm in a small tent. This isn't a big enclosure, but it is cold outside and it is drafty, and still this thing just rages. It heats up quick. Hey guys, for $20, maybe $14 if you get it on sale, maybe even cheaper on Black Friday, I would say 1 or 2 of these is a great option. Get one for you and your backpacking friends. Give it as a gift. It's awesome. I don't make any money off this. I'm not recommending anything for Canway. I don't have any relationship with them whatsoever. This is just a video telling you I like it. It works really well, and it gives you an excuse to get out and use your stuff. And so that's what I'm doing.